bad boy out. Camera's good. 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 Let me know once you're in the room. I'm for real giving you guys some shout outs tonight. We're going to cover a lot of things tonight. And this is going to be what I'm hoping will be the first of a long series where I just go live every Friday night. Dragon Master says, don't leave YouTube. I won't leave YouTube. They will have to kick me off of this platform. You best believe that's the only way I will leave YouTube is they got to kick me out of here. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Remember just a few months ago, everybody was freaking out, myself included to a much lesser degree, freaking out about the YouTube's like reckoning day where they were supposed to kick a bunch of people off the platform. That didn't happen to my knowledge. I don't think that happened. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. It's just not to my liking yet. Hold on. It's not a little too low. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Okay. So who we got in the room? We're going to cover some things tonight here. And we're going to recap this week, right? This is a relatively slow news day. As it relates to the other days in the week where it would seem like something crazy is happening every day. Is that really sirens? You know what? Every time, I just got to get those really thick windows. The windows I have on this house are so old. So and this microphone is ultra sensitive. I was going live like, I think last week or so on Facebook, and there were some cats like across the street fighting. I could hear it in my headphones and I'm like, damn, this microphone is a beast. And I'm like, can you guys hear that? And they heard it. It's like the windows are thin, yes, but this microphone is just a freaking beast, which I did get with your support, by the way. I just want to point that out. So who we got watching? We got Luciano, we got Robert, we got Tracy, we got Family Low, we got who else? They're coming in kind of slow, guys. Coming in kind of slow. Hold on. Live chat. Yes, this is what we want. Okay, so we're gonna get started. All right. So the first thing that I want to cover, and so far, only Tucker Carlson has talked about it. The only person. I'm surprised no other YouTubers have talked about it. This is a crazy thing. Okay. I want to talk about this New Way Forward Act. That is a bill co-sponsored, being authored by 44 members of the House right now, including Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, the squad. This bill is the single most ridiculous piece of legislation I've ever heard or seen in my entire life. I actually posted it on Facebook earlier today. It's just so absurd. It's so absurd. So for those of you that haven't heard of it yet, it's called the New Way Forward Act. I have the information pulled up here, and I just want to read to you guys what I've been able to determine this actually is. I watched Tucker Carlson break it down really easily, but then I wanted to read it for myself and kind of analyze it and see like what's going on. But before we even get to this ridiculous bill that would fundamentally change America forever, which we knew they were trying to do, but now they already put pen to paper. Before we even get there, the very fact that now that they're not trying to impeach the president, their very next order of business is to pass this legislation that does not benefit a single U.S. citizen. There's not a single, U.S. citizen that benefits from this bill that they're trying to pass. It's like, what are these priorities? What were these people hired to do? Their priorities are so far just gone out of whack. Now I know what some of you are thinking. You're probably like, Mike, don't even trip, because that bill will never pass. It'll get shot down in the Senate. And if somehow they regain the Senate in 2020, Trump will veto the bill. That's not the point, even though you're right. It's not going to go anywhere. It's DOA. That's not the point. The point of the matter is that's a bill that's not going anywhere. There are 44 members of Congress who want to, and I'm going to read what this bill is for those of you who don't know, 44 members of Congress that are trying to get this bill passed. So at some point, they're going to get it a lot further along than it is now. And it's just alarming that it's actually here. It went from an idea to a coalition to now it's a bill, which will actually have to go to a committee before it ever goes to the House floor to be voted on and then go to the Senate. So it's not going to go anywhere. But the fact that they're focused on that, for one, instead of doing something that benefits us, when are they going to do something that benefits us? Right. But before they even get that bill anywhere, it has to be, passed through all these things. But the fact that they're focused on it, and that is their top priority, since they couldn't impeach the president, they've moved on to, okay, well, let's just expedite this destruction of America. Let's get her done. Let's get her done. Let's get this bill in the works. Let's get it out there. Let's get it talked about. Let's get all these committees. So that way, when we do get the president of our choice, because they're trying to play the long game. That's how I see it. When we do get the president of our choice, they can sign it into law, and then bye-bye America. That's what's going to happen if, of course, we don't stay vigilant and, vote accordingly, which includes voting these idiots out and then educating the younger generations on why we need to preserve this thing we call America so that we don't have politicians come back up. It's like weeds. You got to get rid of the weeds. I'm sorry. That sounds so horrible. I'm not using Margaret Sanger exterminate like weeds that way. I'm saying exterminate those ideas. Those ideas. We need to get those ideas out of here. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about this bill. Okay. It says the New Way Forward Act, if you guys don't already know what it is, the New Way Forward Act is about immigration. Here's what it'll do. It will reduce mass incarceration by ending mandatory detention and banning for-profit immigration jails. Okay. Reducing mass incarceration. That sounds to me like let them out of jail. Let them out of jail. If you want to talk about the for-profit immigration jails, see, it's already being spun in a racist way. It's about racism. It's like, let's just lock up black and brown people. But really, they're talking about brown people because it's all immigration. Let's just lock them up. It's not that they committed crimes and broke the law. Let's lock them up because there's profit involved, right? But that little line right there is all about releasing criminals into society that were serving their time. Point number 2, allow immigration judges to consider a person's individual circumstances during deportation proceedings, allowing more people to remain with their families and move forward with their lives without fear of an old offense that could lead to deportation. So basically, if you came here and you broke the law, go to jail, you get on parole or whatever, you're back in society, the law we have on the books right now says you can be deported, especially if you let's say you killed somebody in a drunk driving accident. That person would still be alive had you not crossed the border, come over here illegally, whatever. So instead of deporting you, who knows if you learned your lesson, a judge is going to say, well, his familia's here, so we can keep him. He can stay. A judge is basically going to have compassion for the criminal. And it doesn't matter what they were charged with. It doesn't matter what their crime is. It could have been an Epstein type crime, and they'll let them back out. They'll consider that person's circumstances, not the victim, not the victims. The victims of the crimes that were committed go by the wayside. This is legislation that is being passed, or they want it to be passed, in favor of criminal aliens. But let me continue, and then I'll get all the ranting out at the end, right? Okay. Point number 3, allow independent federal judges to review certain decisions of immigration judges that the 1996 laws, Bill Clinton, unfairly tried to remove from judicial oversight. Hold on. Let me just read it again. Allow independent federal judges to review certain decisions of immigration judges that the 1996 laws unfairly. Okay, so they're trying to retroactively look at some stuff from the 90s when judges were a lot more rigid under Clinton. Okay, so that's whatever. That's just added in there. In federal prison sentences and criminal prosecutions for people who cross the border seeking freedom. This is what I'm reading. I mean, this is not from the actual bill. This is from immigrationjusticenetwork.org. I wanted to go to one of these NGOs, right? Because that's the way that they're going to frame it to the public. It's how they're going to get that funding from Georgie Boy and everybody else out there. You know, this is how they're going to promote it. This is how they're going to present it for public consumption so that we accept it, right? Because that's the goal. So I'm going in with, I'm gonna quote my man, Amazing Lucas. This is liberal Mike going in. Let's say I'm a liberal and I love all these things, right? Like, yes, justice for immigrants. I'm going in. Let's say, oh, there's this new bill. Ilhan Omar and them, they want to pass this new bill. Okay, let me read it. Okay, so this is what they're saying. They're saying, yeah, we are going to end these sentences for people who cross the border illegally because they're seeking freedom. That's the language they use. Everybody who crosses the border is seeking freedom. Everybody. Doesn't matter if they're MS-13, doesn't matter what they did in the country of origin, where they're from. They're literally crossing our border because they're seeking freedom. Now, it's obviously true that there are plenty of people crossing the border seeking freedom, but in that crowd are people seeking a better life of crime. And it shows in the numbers. How many of them are in jail now? How many of them are in our justice system now? How many of them have committed crimes now? So there's plenty of them, but they're saying it doesn't matter. They should not be targeted for deportation because they're coming here seeking freedom. So they're automatically just putting that on there, superimposing that, saying they're all seeking freedom, all of them. That's all they want is freedom. But our racist, xenophobic law enforcement is trying to crack down on that because we're not a nation of laws. We're not a nation of borders. Okay. What's the next thing? Advance racial justice and address obstacles to equal justice in the criminal legal system by limiting deportation for drug convictions and other offenses that result from enforcement that disproportionately targets communities of color. You knew they had to throw that in there. Protect communities and local resources by ending harmful practices of local police acting as deportation agents or carrying out mass deportations with ICE. So basically, local law enforcement communicating with ICE. Local law enforcement, what would ICE do without working with local law enforcement? So they're basically saying we need to stop the police working with ICE because a lot of things happen where these judges or they'll grant bail or bond or whatever, and these immigrants that have broken the law, they get out and they can just disappear. This is the whole sanctuary city thing. They can just go to a sanctuary city. They can hide out because ICE can't get them because they don't know that the person's back on the street. They don't know if the person's been released. They're saying we don't want local law enforcement to improve U.S. citizens' lives, the people in their city. We don't want them to help make their city safer by notifying ICE that there's a dangerous person who shouldn't be in the country and they're back on the street. That's what that is. And lastly, this is the last bullet point. Allow people previously ordered deported to apply for the opportunity to come home. Come home. Yeah, let me read that again. Allow people previously ordered deported to apply for the opportunity to come home. We want you back. Even though we deported you for a very good reason, you can come back. Come back. In fact, we're going to make Mike and his bigots who follow him on YouTube pay for it with their money. We're going to fly you back. We're going to put you in a hotel, and then we're going to get you beachfront property, free health care, all these things. This is what Congress wants to pass. And is there any surprise that that's my dog in the background for those of you wondering what that sound is? Is there any surprise that the news isn't covering this? Not a single news outlet has reported it. Not even Fox News, just Tucker. And then all these people are like, oh yeah, like, America first, America first. Okay, well, where's the coverage of this? I'm really actually surprised. And maybe some YouTubers, I know Vincent James of the Red Elephants is really good at getting this kind of information out to his followers. I learn a lot about what's going on at the border and stuff by watching his channel, but I haven't heard him say anything about it. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he covered it back in December, because I think that's when this bill first started getting a buzz. But I just think it's interesting. No media coverage whatsoever. This is the most problematic piece of legislation I've ever seen. This is worse than, Tucker was right, this is worse than the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal, even though it sucks and it's terrible and it's socialism, at least they're saying, okay, Mike, you get this, even though I know it sucks. At least it's targeted towards Americans. But this is all about immigrants, specifically immigrants who came here illegally and broke the law. So it's hyper focused on a specific sector of people coming over here. And I think that just blows my mind. And it's par for the course. It's par for the course, right? Because like I said in a previous video, they side with criminals. They side with criminals. They are criminals. It is one giant crime family. That's all it is. It's all about crime. They always look to the criminal and make them the victim. And then the actual victims are just peons to them. Remember that girl in Iowa? What was her name? What was her name? Was it Kate Steinle? No. It was another one. What was the one in San Francisco? Somebody remind me. There was one in San Francisco, but then there was one in Iowa. Molly Tibbetts. That's the one. Molly Tibbetts. Remember that? They were all about this guy, the immigrant who killed her. Even the parents had sympathy for that guy. You know what I mean? It's just like with Black Lives Matter. It's only Black Lives only matter if the person who got killed was a criminal. That's the only time you see them all on the street. Alton Sterling, all these people. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But I can't believe that Congress would even consider this piece of legislation, even though we know it's not going anywhere. For those of you just tuning in, yes, we know it's not going to go anywhere. It won't go anywhere. But the fact that they're trying this legislation, the fact that they will form a committee, that's where it would be at. It's in its infancy stages. The fact that there are people in office proposing a bill that radical, that anti-American, that should alarm plenty of people, because how long before they have enough people to pass it? I mean, we wouldn't even be in this situation had we won the midterms. We didn't win the midterms because they got the House. They got control of the House, and that's why they impeached the president. Luckily, we gained seats in the Senate. I'd like to think that Republicans take the House in 2020. But that's how important midterms are, because Congress makes the laws. It's just, man, this is the craziest thing. So I don't know if anybody knew about it, because I haven't heard any other YouTubers talking about it. I just happened to I found out about it on my live stream last night. When I live streamed on Facebook, I went back and rewatched it and looked at some of the comments, and someone said, hey, you need to talk about this bill, this New Way Forward Act. And so I did some digging and found out about it, and I'm telling you guys. So I advise you to share it and tell people about it. Okay, so yeah, anyway, let's move on. And the comments are rolling really slow, and I appreciate everybody that's liking it too. I know Fridays are a little bit slower because I know people are out and about doing things. But I appreciate everybody that's watching and has liked the video. Thank all of you guys. This is their version of criminal justice reform. Unfortunately, their base is illegals and non-citizens. It's like they're directly campaigning towards them. Like, if you were to go into the mind of a criminal and you read this, you would be so excited. I mean, couple that with their gun legislation that they want to pass, that they're always trying to pass. What does that look like? We're going to release criminal aliens from prison. We're going to shield them from deportation. We're going to bring more people up who were previously deported. We know about their track record. We're bringing them back, and we're going to disarm all of you bigots in America. You don't get to own firearms. You don't get to protect yourself. You're the criminal. You're wrong. That is literally, in the most literal sense, siding with criminals. We're passing gun confiscation laws. We're going to make it harder for law-abiding citizens to get their license to carry and all this stuff. And we're going to release criminals on to the streets, and we're not going to allow the police officers to do their jobs. We're not going to allow ICE to do their jobs. And the criminals actually the victim. They're the ones being unfairly targeted by Trump and his racist regime. This is the most absurd thing. But what I think it is it's the extreme opposite position of Trump trying to crack down on illegal border crossings, ending the diversity visa lottery, the chain migration, catch and release, all that stuff. Because Trump is actually taking action on that. They're like, no. We instead of deporting people, we actually need to bring back people who were deported in the 90s. Let's reach out to them. Let's find their next of kin and see if we can get, do they have a yearbook? Is there a way to get in touch with those people in Honduras, even though they were deported back when Clinton was in office? Maybe there's a way we can, use Mike's taxpayer money to bring them back. Who knows what they've been doing since? Who knows what the laws are in these other countries? I mean, what's illegal there or what's illegal here might be legal there. And it's like, if you break the law in another country, they're basically saying you can flee to the United States to get sanctuary for your crime. This basically is a criminal bill. This bill is all about people who break the law. And not just that, people who break the law who aren't even from the United States. I'm telling you, if more people don't talk about this, I'm going to really start to question if they are truly America first. And I know it's still new and it's not going to be passed. So technically it's not relevant right now, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about ahead of this election, because there are people who got elected in the very last election we had who authored this thing. So it's only a matter of time before more of those people who think like them get voted into office. If the left continues to control and dominate the way that they have in the media and all of the discourse and everything else, which they're losing this battle now, but it's been very much back and forth. If more of those people get in office, this isn't going away. You guys know that, right? You have to know. You would have to be extremely naive to think, oh, because it's not going to pass, it's not, that means it's fine. But no, it's not going anywhere. It's made it this far, right? It's made it this far. The fact that and it's all of these freshman congresswomen and 44 Democrats, 44, right? And that's 44 that support it now. There are more people that will be on board later on, I'm sure. Especially because Orange Man is so bad, right? They're like, I hate Trump so bad, I support this bill. Scarecrow said it's an exciting time finally in politics. It is exciting. It's like I wake up every day and I thank God for another day on earth, but then I also am like, what is this reality? It's like we are living in the Matrix. Mousy said 44 brain cells. Yeah, so there's that. Just make sure you tell everybody you know about this bill. This is crazy. Crazy town. So I mean, I guess, guys, give me feedback. Talk to me. What else? I've covered pretty much everything else this week that went on from very beginning with the Iowa caucus and the State of the Union, and then Trump's acquittal and AOC, and now this. I think those were the biggest stories of the week. Democrats are in New Hampshire. Oh, that's right. Is there a debate tonight? Hell if I know. I could care less about them. Oh, yeah, Mayor Pete. Yeah, let's talk about him. Tommy Gunn. Thank you. He said, Mayor Pete, is he deep state? I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's hard to really say. What I do think is Pete is he is becoming a favorite of the establishment. It recently came out that Pete Buttigieg spent $30,000 of his money, which I'm sure he fundraised, to pay for this shady app, which is coincidentally called Shady Inc. or Shadow Inc., whatever, that caused this whole Iowa caucus thing. And then he declared victory on the same night before any of the results came out. Any votes were counted, any votes were presented to the public. He declared victory pretty damn confidently. I know some of the other candidates did too, just to try to cash in on the confusion of it all. But in reality, Pete Buttigieg, his hands are all over it. And then you also look at it as he's running in a very tight field, right? It's crowded on that side because on one side, you got the far left progressives, which is just pretty much Bernie. Warren is not on that side. She's a grifter. She's an establishment. She's over here, but she tried to go over here because she thought it was going to be more expedient for her. She got called out. So it's pretty much everybody's on this side. You got Biden, Bloomberg, Tom Steyer, what's her name? Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg. But really, Pete Buttigieg is just a younger, more vibrant version. I hate I even had to use that word to describe it, compared to Joe Biden. So I do think that Pete Buttigieg is probably the chosen one at this point, especially with how bad Joe Biden performed in Iowa. Joe Biden is basically banking on South Carolina to carry him because he did so bad in Iowa. Bernie's probably going to clean up in New Hampshire, although it seems to me that they're pushing Pete Buttigieg because he seems to be more, I guess, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it seems to me like he has a better shot than Biden. And we saw that obviously with the way Iowa turned out, whether it was corrupt and cheating to get him there or not. I think it probably makes sense that people are looking at him instead of Joe Biden because Joe Biden has been just falling off a cliff for months. So they're like, yeah, Biden probably has the best chance, but Biden doesn't have the best chance because he's falling apart and all these creepy kid sniffing videos have come out on him. That doesn't help, right? There's a lot of things that are working against Joe Biden. And then of course, the big elephant in the room, Hunter Biden, the Ukrainian scandal, like that big thing, that's too much baggage for Joe. So I think that now they're throwing their money behind Pete because we know they don't want Bernie. So that's why I think it's really kind of a two-man race, although you do kind of have to put Biden in there. You have to put Biden in there just because if Biden did get the nomination, he's the only one. And I talked about this last night on Facebook. If Biden got the nomination, no matter how terrible this man is, no matter how many gaffes he actually has the best chance to be competitive against Trump because Bernie cannot compete against Trump in states like Florida. There are too many moderate Democrats that will not support a socialist far left candidate. Sorry, communist. I got to call Bernie what he is. Sometimes I still call him socialist. He's a communist. But they're not going to go for that. Whereas someone in the middle, someone who's more moderate, someone's status quo, someone who's not super far left like Biden actually would be competitive in swing states like Florida. I do think that they're throwing their support behind Pete right now. I think that it's trending that way. But what's even more important than that, whether or not Pete is deep state, I think what's more important than that is what's happening with Bernie and his supporters and his following. As I've said for many months, Bernie Sanders has always been the front runner. He's always been the most viable of that party. He's got the grassroots support. You can see the support for Bernie Sanders, so you know it's not fake. No matter what the polls say, you can see it. There's Bernie bumper stickers, there's t-shirts, there's YouTube channels. There's a lot of people who visibly support Bernie. He has the support of the farthest of the left people. And a lot of those people who support Bernie are violent. They believe in gulags. I'm not saying all Bernie supporters. I know Bernie supporters. I have friends that are on the left that support Bernie. But what I'm saying is the fringes of the far left support Bernie, not Warren, not Steyer. Who do you think Antifa, all those kids, those people in Antifa, kids, adults, whatever they are, who do you think they're voting for? Do you think that they're going to vote for Pete Buttigieg? Do you think they are? No. They've already said, and they're on record, shout out Project Veritas, people embedded in Bernie's campaign believe in revolutions. Bernie has been calling for revolutions since he has been in politics. He's been a communist. His communist ideology, his communist dog whistles have grown his base, and it's the farthest left people. And what I'm getting at is, if Bernie does not get the nomination, because they already know he got screwed in 2016, they're watching this like a hawk. They saw what happened in Iowa. They're going to follow this primary like no one's ever followed a primary before. Because number one, they don't want Trump. But number two, it's not just about getting Trump out of office. For them, it's about getting their communist leader in office. So if Antifa could be as crazy as they've been over attacking Patriot Prayer and doing all this stuff, what do you think they're going to do if Bernie doesn't get the nomination? And it's open air rigging. It's open air. You can see what's happening. Anybody with a set of eyes can see that the Democrat establishment is trying to screw Bernie Sanders out of this nomination. Hillary Clinton has been out in the open. She's been attacking Bernie. I've seen hit pieces on CNN. I've seen articles written. I've been watching this really closely because, not because I support Bernie. I don't give a what I'm watching is the revolution, the support behind Bernie, which is very real, and the violent people in our country. Most of them, 90% of the violent leftists, support Bernie Sanders. So what are they going to do if he doesn't get the nomination? What are we looking at here? That's what I'm saying. That's why it's very interesting to watch, because these people are ticking time bombs. We've seen, how many videos have we seen of all these crazies out there talking about what they want to do? And, you know, they believe in gulags and crazy stuff and no free speech and no borders, no wall, no USA at all. I mean, look at AOC. That goes in line with this legislation. They're like, no, we need to completely destroy the United States of America and rebuild it as something else. This workers' paradise that Bernie promised us. This workers' paradise. Everything's free. It's all going to work out. Vote for me, utopia. Or I'm the closest person that could get you to utopia. And the thing about this, if you go and talk to 90% of these Bernie bros out there, they understand that government is corrupt. They don't like the establishment. They understand that's the one commonality that we may share with them. That's where it ends, is there's a corrupt establishment up there in DC, and it's been corrupt for years on both sides. The difference is they want the United States completely remade, completely destroyed. They are total anarchists, but they're very confused. I've heard some people say that they are anarcho-communists. And it's like, wait a minute. Anarchy means no government. Communism is totalitarian government. No wonder you're violent and angry. Because you look at things like, oh my God, the government is so corrupt. When people are in power, they're corrupt. But then you're like, give Bernie power. It's like, okay, it makes sense why you are so confused and conflicted. Meet us back in reality. I mean, it's probably not going to happen because a lot of these people are so far gone. But it just blows my mind how people can be that naive. You know, even people like, I don't know, Kyle Kalinske. I watch his channel. I like to hear what the other side says, what they think. And they're all for Bernie. They worship Bernie. They think Bernie is just literally the answer to all the problems in America, or like Bernie's going to get us the closest. And I'm like, no, nobody's going to get us the closest. The best person to be in a position of power is someone who's going to restrict power, going to restrict government, going to get government out of our way so we can live our lives, because freedom is our birthright. Am I right? Were you born free? I mean, you were born free, but then they tacked that 9-digit number on you, and they've been tracking you ever since. And we've already been living in a social credit system, but that's another story. But other than that, you should be free to do whatever you want to do, as long as you're not treading on someone else's individual sovereignty. You should be free to do that. And oh, by the way, the government shouldn't be telling you what to do, because the government is just other people. I've been saying this from the beginning. When I launched my channel, one of the very first things I talked about is how, and this was such a like amateur video, I was really nervous to be on camera. I think I made the video private because I was like, oh no, I don't want people to go back and see that. But I might make it public again. I don't know, maybe. But anyway, in that video, I talked about how big government sucks. And I was really on this like big government kick, like, oh, big government, because I learned so much. And the more I learned, the more I was pissed off. I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, it does make sense. Like, and you can see it, like the post office only works halfway good, halfway decent, because there's competition from FedEx and UPS. But the DMV is very slow. If you get a marriage license, it's slow. When you get everything that you have to do that involves the government is usually slow and archaic. Like, oh, send me a fax. Like, a lot of these things, like my local city government, it's hilarious. When I have to go down in person to pay my utility bill, and I do it because they have a way to do it online, but they charge you a processing fee. They don't have an app where you can pay it online through an app on your smartphone. So, and if you pay in person with a credit card, oh, there's a service charge here. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Write you a check, stop at the ATM and get cash? You get what I'm saying? Like the government is very, very just slow, archaic. It doesn't adapt. There's no incentive for them to improve. And a lot of it is because they have no competition. They run things. They're funded by we the people, taxpayer money. So government has always been this way. And the people on the left, the extreme far left who support Bernie, want more of it, even though they recognize that there's corruption and it's rotten to the courts because they're people in power. It's just people. So if you replace all the corrupt people in DC right now and replace them with Bernie and all the people that, let's say they get their way, okay, put all your people in there who you think are going to be amazing. And let's fast forward even like 5-6 years. Let's see how they're doing. Or did they just replace the corrupt people who you wanted out so bad? Doesn't matter who you put in there. What is the saying? I always butcher this. It should not be that hard. It's like power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's just the truth, guys. Like it's so common sense. It's like it's so elementary that I feel silly even having to say it. And I know I'm mostly preaching to the choir, but there are a lot of people out there who don't get it. They don't understand that no matter who is in power, if they are going to restrict your freedoms, that you're just replacing one person for the next. It's just you're going in circles with the Republicans, or not the Republicans, with the whatchamacallit, the establishment. So if you go from Republican to Democrat, it doesn't matter if they eventually become corrupt. That's how you have what we have now. Miss J, I can't pronounce her name. I'm just going to call you Miss J. Miss J, Trump would demolish Biden in a debate. I feel sorry for him. A Bernie debate would actually be entertaining. I think it would. I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about the debates. I honestly, if it were just about debates, I would want Elizabeth Warren to get the nomination. Biden would be funny. I think Biden would be boring. Biden would be so boring, and it would be like too easy to make fun of him and make jokes because it'd be so obvious. It's like, would I make a video the next day like, oh, Joe Biden's gaffes. Joe Biden said this, and it was really obvious. It's like somebody clever or somebody who would get flustered, like Elizabeth Warren. She would just be so flustered, and Trump could just really expose her. I think actually that's what needs to happen, because she hasn't felt any real consequences for what she's done. She lied about her ethnicity for years and benefited from it. And then she lied about her lie. So after she got caught in the lie, she lied about it. Oh, my papa had high cheekbones, and my mama said my papa, and what does it say? This cookbook, Pow Wow Chow, it's mayonnaise and seafood or something. Like, just this whole story, her entire life was a lie in the public eye. Then she gets caught, and then she doubles down. Like, oh no, I didn't lie on that Texas bar. Was it the bar exam or whatever it is that she took? And it's like, oh, but you put that you were Native American. Oh yeah, I guess I did. Oh, well, I'm white again, and I'm running for president. I want you to vote for me. See, she deserves to be called out for that, because I don't think a lot of people even know about it. And a lot of her supporters haven't heard it explained in the way that maybe I would, and or Trump would. They've never heard it explained in such a way where they're like, damn, I can't believe I supported her. She needs to feel something about that. I don't think she is truly even remorseful. That's despicable, by the way. But then she turns around and spews that false racial narrative like, oh, it's so bad. America's so bad for people of color, except I'm going to pretend to be a person of color for all these benefits. Lying Lizzie Warren. Lying Lizzie Warren. Wait, Bernie's an angry old clown? Creepy racist Joe Biden needs to be locked up. We'll see what happens with Joe Biden. The problem with a lot of these corrupt career politicians is they will probably we won't see them brought to justice. We won't. I don't, if Hillary can just walk freely and with all of the smoke around her, I just can't believe it. She got away with everything. And she's being celebrated as if she did nothing wrong. That tells you how bad things are. It tells you how bad things are. So it's hard to believe any of these people will go to prison. But hey, they won't escape judgment now. One other thing that I want to bring up about this New Way Forward Act that they're trying to pass. This New Way Forward Act, I guess a smaller version of it, or some elements to that bill, have already been passed in New York. And basically, if you're a witness that's going to testify in court against a criminal that's on trial, they can release your information to that person's attorney. And somebody just got killed by MS-13 because their information was leaked. They didn't protect the witness. Imagine, if you will, back in the day, if they did that and released your information to the mafia. That's essentially like the mafia owning the government. Then they might as well just merge together. How long before we see an MS-13 gang member in Congress? My goodness, guys, like, just absurd. That's what happens. Like, the criminal element and the political element eventually just intertwine and merge. They just merge. They just become one crime syndicate. That's what happens. That's what happens in the movies. They have the politicians at gunpoint. They're shaking them down, right? The mafia. That's how they do it. That's how Pablo Escobar did it. That's how they do it in Mexico. That's how they run the country. That's how they run the land. They own it. They do whatever they want. That's what we're seeing on the left. That's what's happening when Bernie Sanders won't denounce people who work for his campaign, who are saying cities will burn if he doesn't get the nomination. These are people who work for Bernie Sanders, and he won't denounce it. As he's also, like I said before, dog whistling when he says we need a revolution in this country. Revolution. There are people in the streets who support that revolution, and you have to look no further than the city of Portland, where they already kind of have the mayor by the balls if he still has them, and they run the streets and beat people and put them in the hospital and face no consequence whatsoever. That's what happens when politicians feel sympathetic for criminals. It makes you wonder, what does the criminal have over you? That's what's happening. People like Bernie Sanders with his communist followers, like I said, the farthest left people in America would vote for Bernie. They're not supporting Joe Biden. They're not supporting Pete. They're not supporting Amy Klobuchar. They're not supporting Lion Elizabeth Warren. They're not. They're supporting Bernie. So what does that tell you? If the farthest left people in America support Bernie and people in his staff say cities will burn, there's going to be some kind of reaction that's not a good reaction in this country if he gets screwed out of this nomination, which there's already a lot of evidence to that happening. With the Iowa caucus, we'll see what happens for them in New Hampshire, where he's expected to win big in New Hampshire, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit closer. Right? We'll see. We will see. We know that the left wants, the establishment left wants Pete or Joe Biden. We can figure that much. They already see who's viable, who's not. Elizabeth Warren's done. Klobuchar's done. The rest of the people are just there. Those people are just there. They're not. It's not going to happen. But we're going to see this thing tighten up, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't turn into something crazy and chaotic. But a lot of signs are pointing to that because they're pissed off that it happened in 2016. And it's crazy what they propose. It's all of it. Green New Deal, new way forward, no guns, taxpayer funded abortions up until the third trimester, up until the day of birth, open borders. Everybody gets free health care. Mike pays for it. Mike and his followers pay for it. People who go to work pay for it. And then, the system gets bogged down. Medicare for all equals healthcare for none. And that's the end of America, unless we get out there and vote and wake people up by just telling the truth and using common sense and disrupting their pattern of thinking. And hopefully they reach their own conclusion that government is going to be tyrannical, no matter if it's the people that are in there now or the people you think are going to be better. And that's it. I could just continue in circles on that one. Wow, we've been live for 47 minutes already, guys. I don't know why the comments are always rolling slow. Ooh. Every time I go live, they're like changing stuff on me. The views, the way it looks. Why are people saying Hillary? Hillary wants to run and cheat to win. I think it's technically too late for her to run. I don't think she can run. I don't think she can. And I mean, whoever she endorses, that will be the kiss of death. That will turn off so many people. I do want to make a prediction, though. I want to make this prediction. So if Joe Biden gets the nomination, he will pick Stacey Abrams as his running mate. Because Stacey Abrams, in his eyes, in the Democrats' eyes, that's the future star. She's a star, right? She's got the right. She's a woman. She's a woman of color. So that to them, because they're so damn shallow, equals lots of votes. That equals black vote. So Stacey Abrams would be the running mate for Joe Biden. Pete, I don't think will even get the nomination unless they rig it hardcore against Bernie. Same with Joe Biden, but Pete, I don't know who you'd pick for his running mate. I could see him picking Elizabeth Warren as his running mate. He's going to pick a woman as his running mate. That's for sure. That's for sure. Bernie, I don't know. Um, I could see him picking Andrew Gillum as his running mate because they share very similar ideologies. In fact, Bernie came down here to Florida in the midterms and campaigned for Andrew Gillum. Actually gave him a real shot in the arm. His campaign got a tremendous boost once Bernie endorsed him because he came out of nowhere. And Bernie endorsed him, and it was a tight race because of it. Luckily, Trump endorsed Ron DeSantis, and that made the difference, I think. But I could see Bernie saying, Andrew Gillum, let's get you out there. Because then that grooms Andrew Gillum to be a future presidential candidate. You don't think he has those aspirations? And that's a dangerous candidate right there because he has that Barack Obama swag, that charm. I mean, he's handsome, I guess you could say. Women probably looking like, oh, he's a tall, dark, handsome man. Oh, like I can already see it, guys. I can already see it because I saw a little bit of it when he was campaigning for governor in Florida. Right? That was the first sign. I'm like, we'll have to pay attention. We'll have to see how this guy develops. Right now, he's just a CNN panelist or contributor, but he's got his little his little work down here. He's got his little organizations, his 501c3s or whatever. He's doing his thing down here, trying to get Florida hyped up so that they can vote against Trump. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you, I've never seen. So every day I go out, I see way more Trump flags and signs and people wearing shirts and hats. People are not afraid to wear their Trump gear out in public now. They're not afraid. I think there was a time when people were afraid to actually do it because even in places like Florida, because of vandalism on cars, because, judgment, people, sabotaging your food or, the tension, I think down here is a lot less than it was like in 2018. So it's not going to happen. But Andrew Gillum is somebody we got to watch out for. But I could see Bernie picking him as a running mate for sure. For sure. I don't even know what's going on in this chat. Juan Williams. Mayor Pete will probably select Jussie Smollett. Juicy Smollett. Yeah, guys, when's the next hate crime hoax? We know it's coming. We know that they're going to dial up the race narrative, the hate crime hoax. We know it's coming. We all know that it's going to come, even though they pick the most exaggerated, clearly fake hate crime to get behind and for all their media coverage. Oh, let's get you on ABC Good Morning America. Let's hear your story. That sounds ridiculous. Let's hear it. Let's pump it out over the airwaves. We're going to get behind this. We believe it happened. We believe you. Believe all liars. That's crazy. We know it's coming. We know I'd not be surprised. In fact, I think we're behind schedule now. Didn't Jussie Smollett happen at like the end of January? Give it some time. We will get a hate crime hoax, guys. We will get some more. We'll get some police shootings, some officer involved shootings of unarmed black men. That's coming. They're gonna get it. They're gonna cover it. There are police shootings every day in this country, but the media only cares. They only want you to care if it's a black person that's shot. That's the truth. That's a fact. You never hear about white people getting shot. You never hear about Hispanics getting shot. You only hear about black people getting shot because that will drum up the tension. They know it. They know what they're doing. That's why they love it. Minneapolis has tons of Trump haters, says Adam. I don't doubt it. I mean, I was there when he won. But I think outside the Twin Cities is where it's maybe not super Republican, but it's conservative. And I found out that I have a lot of friends in the Twin Cities who watch me, who are conservative. A lot of them have reached out to me. They're like, hey man, I see what you post on Instagram. I agree with you. I like what you have to say. I'm on board with it. And I'm like, okay, find others, tell them, bring them along. I also have a lot of so-called friends. They're not friends. They unfriended me, guys, and I had to share. It hurts to bring it up. They unfollowed me, guys, on Instagram. It's so sad when they found out I supported Trump. It's like, it wasn't even like I was putting Trump out there, guys. I get choked up talking about it. I just lost some followers, It's like, what happened to you, Mike? You used to post pictures of tacos and you were the man when you would post pictures of food on Instagram. They come out of the woodworks and they liked it. But as soon as I start telling the truth, as soon as I started saying something that they had not heard before, not considered before, something that was, for the most part, indisputable, we could have a discussion. But for the most part, I would post something that's like irrefutable. I think one of my first Instagram posts, and I had a lot of Twin Cities followers on Instagram. I posted something about how the Democrat Party is the party of Jim Crow, segregation, the Ku Klux Klan, and there was no party switch. There's no evidence to a party switch. There's no evidence now of a party switch. And the Democrats are still just as racist now as they were then. They just figured out a way to manipulate people to accept it and have, like, I don't know, what do you call it? Stockholm syndrome. But a lot of people unfollowed me from the Twin Cities. And I don't doubt that it's super, super anti-Trump. It's very liberal. But I do think that even in the Twin Cities, you have some more, I guess, not establishment, but like moderate Democrats, corporate business Democrats. And I think a lot of the divide, really, not even just there, but across the country, it's like the boomer generation, boomer and probably Gen X generation, whatever it was between boomer and millennial. I think a lot of them are like the business, corporate, moderate Democrats, but it's the millennials that are the socialist Bernie bros and the far left people. So I think that there's like a little civil war going on there. There's an ideological war happening in the Democrat Party. And I find it pretty fascinating. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I get tired of covering the same thing every day. I get tired of talking about Trump every single day because the only reason I do is because they keep bringing it up. They're so obsessed with it. I just want to kick back and watch him win. I just want to kick back and see what he's doing, see all the legislation he's passing. I wish that it weren't in this. I wish we weren't in this situation. I wish we didn't have to talk about impeachment because it's a non-starter for me. I'd rather call out the craziness from the left and hopefully wake some people up. Otherwise, what am I doing this for? If I can't reach new people, if I can't hopefully change some hearts and minds out there, then I didn't do my job. At least get people to the point where they're having discussions again, right? There's the political discourse has just devolved into screams, shouts, violence, disrespect. I was watching Tyler Zeducation. I was watching he's another YouTuber. If you haven't heard of him, check him out. He posted a video of some bald head, like Bernie supporting chick in the face of Trump supporters, just screaming. She was literally just screaming at the top of her lungs in their face. I'm like, that's not a compelling argument. Like, what's the end game here? What's your goal? You just want us to know that you're here, you exist, and you're annoying? That's not an argument. That doesn't make people want to support your cause. It's just like when they go out and block traffic with signs. I'm like, how many minds did you change by doing that? People don't want to have discussions anymore. They don't want to talk. You're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to bring up certain things because you'll get banned. So dumb. But I just get tired of the constant, like, let's take this measure against Trump. I get tired of Congress wasting our time. They've been wasting our time for so long trying to impeach him. Russia collusion. Let's call some witnesses. Let's pass a House resolution condemning Trump's rhetoric on Twitter. Let's pass a bill against anti-Semitism. Let's do all of these things that don't benefit anybody. They don't help anybody. What is it? What are they doing? Fix the roads, fix the highways. Let's clean up some of the streets. Let's help the homeless people. Let's help the veterans. Let's help the kids. Let's reform education. Let's do something for the people instead of trying to impeach the president, pass laws that support criminal aliens, not just people here illegally that have just literally crossed the border, but people who came over here and touched kids, murdered people, strong arm robbery, all these things, selling drugs. Let's protect them with legislation and let's have it be taxpayer funded and bring people back. That's what they're focused on. That's what they want to pass. That's what they think is important. That's what the media doesn't want you to know because they are not talking about it. Even conservative media. Where's Ben Shapiro? Where's the Daily Wire? Where's Charlie Kirk? Where are the people who should be talking about this? I just think it's important. But hey, what do I know, guys? I'm just one person with a YouTube channel. Let's see what's trending on Twitter now. Let's see what's trending on this Friday night. I think I've said everything I needed to say, so I figure I'll just let you guys, chime in. I am working on, stay tuned, probably in the next week or so, but very soon I will have a way for you guys to call in. Or maybe we can do like Uber Guy or some other YouTubers do, where I can send a link and anybody who wants to join can join, and we could do face-to-face. But I want to have some like call in. I want to hear from people. I think it would be a lot better. I love reading the chat, but I know some of you would like to call in and talk to me, and we can go back and forth that way. I think it'd be a lot easier. Because right now, the chats kind of roll in slow. I know on Facebook, they're delayed. So Chris Christie is trending. I have no idea why. He's a debate commentator. I don't know. New Hampshire debate is trending. Nothing of interest is trending right now. Nothing, really crazy. Well, I guess that's probably my cue to wrap it up. It's been an hour already, guys, but I do always appreciate those of you that watch me on the regular, those of you that hit the bell notification and you never miss a Magnificent video, those of you that send money to me via PayPal, or you've sent me books to my P.O. box, which, by the way, I did get a new P.O. box. If you send stuff to my old P.O. box, it's fine because the forwarding is on. But the new P.O. box address is already in the description. And you guys are the best. I would not be where I am right now without you guys. You guys have shared all my videos. Be on the lookout for more content always. As always, follow me on all the social media accounts you can. YouTube's trying to choke the life out of this channel, which is why they don't let it grow. They just, I tell the truth. And they don't like it. But you guys are the best. I appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, guys, I'm wrapping up. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If there's something crazy tomorrow, you best believe I will be reporting it. God bless you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good night.